Voyage.
Hi, everyone. This is Nat Mundel, founder and CEO of Voyage, and one of the producers of this show and episode. I'm here today with Jonathan Frakes of our true crime anthology episode, Money Supply. Very excited to connect with you, sir. Mr. Frakes is an award-winning actor and director, and of course, known for his role as Commander Will Riker in the Star Trek universe. Jonathan's also a director of television and films, including Star Trek First Contact. He's also an accomplished voice actor, notably providing the voice of David in the Disney animated series Gargoyles. Maybe you didn't know that, but that's cool and exciting. And sir, it's a great honor. I'm a huge fan and just couldn't be more excited to get to know you.
Oh, I'm very happy to be here. I'm glad we got through all the technical mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, we should have done that as a behind the scenes. Well, thanks for, participating in Money Supply.
I revealed what a true Luddite I am.
Yeah, exactly. We just had to, go behind the scenes of this futuristic Star Trek guy and learn how tech savvy he
is. That of course that's the irony. It's not lost on any of us.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. All right, so Money Supply, what an interesting story. What was your initial reaction when you read the concept and story and script?
I was surprised that the character who I'm about to record, or I have recorded, the character that I'm playing in the show originally plays as a kind of a Republican peckerhead, asshole, thoughtless, rude narcissist, and turns out to be Robin Hood.
Yeah, what an incredible sort of turn of events. And
I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised, actually, that the density and the depth of the character and the variety of what he's been through is not revealed until the story is completed, which is the sign of good writing. Congratulations.
No spoilers here. Going back in time to when you hosted Beyond Belief Factor Fiction, in much the same way this episode lets the audience decide, did it happen? Did it not happen? Is it true? Is it not true? And where do you, having now, sort of read it and learned about it, where do you fall on the spectrum?
I feel like it could easily be true. I'll tell you something interesting. I hope it's interesting about Beyond Belief Factor Fiction. Al Schwartz was our director, and Barry Edelman wrote it. And those puns at the end of each segment, or at the end of the episodes, we used to call the Edelmans. And when I was asked to break down whether this one's true or this one's false, which have become these wonderful memes, Edelman and Schwartz both made a decision early on, and we did this for a few years, never tell me which was fact and which was fiction. And therefore, my read, if you will, or my wraparound, or whatever we like to call these things at the beginning and end, would not be influenced by my personal knowledge of what was fact and what was fiction. And I think it served the show. It was a wonderful decision on their part, I thought, and served the show brilliantly, so that my delivery of the Edelmans and of the information was on the same timbre, on the same tone, whether it was fact or fiction. And as families gathered to watch that show, they really did argue about what they believed was fact and fiction. They often were as surprised as I was.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting theme. And it's actually a theme as we're kicking off this anthology show and sort of creating it in real time and getting to know it through the act of production. It's a theme we're considering bringing forward into multiple episodes, or in fact, potentially the whole series. So maybe we'll have you back.
Oh, the idea of fact or fiction?
Correct.
Oh, and are you going to tell me which this is?
Never. Of course not. I don't even know. I mean, it's such an incredulous story. I've been working with the quote unquote creator, or son of the father for quite a few years. Because we're considering a movie about the project too, or a series, and Yeah, I don't even know. And I'm not sure I care to know if it's true or not. It's such an interesting, like, you know, amalgam of so many different things. To me, that's fascinating in and of itself.
Well, if the intention was so um, good for mankind as it feels like it is, it's the way the story is told weaves it in a wonderfully complicated and a much more interesting story than a linear. Do you know what I mean?
I do, and I'll take that as a compliment to our writer and director and creative behind this approach. And so, I'll make sure to pass that on to him. I'm sure he'll appreciate knowing that. So, on that note, as you were reading the role, was there something specific that has led you into the character and how you're going to be approaching it?
I think the uh, the narcissism of the man and the sort of that superiority that we've seen in people. That's the character that is in there's sort of flashbacks in the story because his son sees him through a different light than scenes themselves imply. If you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've spoken to the son several times, and hearing his point of view is also, you know, part
Oh,
of it.
so you don't know if this kid made this story up about his dad, or if this you don't know if it's true or not?
No, sir. No,
Look
sir.
me in the
I mean,
eye. Look me in the eye.
what's that?
You don't know if this story is true or not for real.
No, sir. Yeah. No, sir. And that's part of the joy of going into this story is it's so
Wait till you get
incredulous.
deposed. What happens when you get deposed by the Supreme Court and they ask you if it's true or
I'm
you're
I
going to be in a world of hurt.
I'm gonna just avoid that question for now and stick my head in the sand, sir. Um,
You seem like an honorable man. I don't think that you want to be lying to the Supreme Court.
well, that's true, and certainly I wouldn't. But it sounds like maybe you're an agent of the Supreme Court deposing me right now, so I'm gonna plead the fifth at this point.
Excellent.
Is this? Have you done podcasts before? Or is this your first? And are
A lot of podcasts. I have not done a lot of scripted podcasts.
okay?
I've recorded novels and audio books and that sort of thing. So this is a new, and I got to say, my kids said, "What are you doing today? Is it a regular podcast?" I said, "No, this one is scripted," because I was rereading the script before I came into our tech meeting, and they too thought it was a very cool idea. I asked because everybody, as we said earlier in off camera, people now ask, "What podcasts are you into?" In the same way they ask, "What show are you watching? What show are you streaming? Are you into Queen's Gambit?" And it has that same sort of judgmental but also informative. I know I have a list on my notes on my phone of people whose opinions I respect who are watching a show that I would like to watch. And now that is also happening with podcasts. And
Absolutely.
I think scripted is the future. And I think you're going to ride a big wave into some big success with this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that vote of confidence. The wave is already sort of swelling up, and yeah, we're gearing up to really, go for a double overhead barrel. I hope, Um, so tell me, what are you up to? What do you want your listeners and audience to know? What's the next thing you're doing in your life and in your work?
Well, I just finished editing a block of episodes on Picard, Star Trek Picard. I'm on a regular director on. I also have helped to reboot a show I worked on for many years called Leverage, which is now called Leverage Redemption. But now I'm currently happily with both my kids and their significant others and my wonderful wife in Maine, all together for the first time since the kids were in high school for an extended period. So I'm fishing and swimming and boating and looking for the best lobster roll in the Maine. So that's my
Moment. What a sweet moment. I'm from the Northeast and I'm from Boston and spent a lot of time in Vermont, and I've spent some quality time in Maine. So I'm happy to hear what you're up to.
Yeah, and you know what it's like on a sunny day like today. It's gorgeous out here today.
Spectacular. Well, as I mentioned earlier when we first met, I'm just so grateful to have you, play with us in this new space, this podcast, Money Supply. Just couldn't be more excited, and also I've just really enjoyed talking to you and getting to know you.
Likewise, I'm glad we finally got the kinks worked out. I'm looking forward to this. Actually, I appreciate I like your style and I like your philosophy, and I share it. So I'm in. I hope we can do more.
Well, listeners, you can find Money Supply in our True Crime Anthology series on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen. I want to thank our star, Jonathan Frakes, for joining us today for Voyage Media. I'm Nat Mundel, signing off.
Voyage.
Hi, listeners. This is Dan Benamore, head of podcasts for Voyage Media. I hope you really enjoyed that interview with Jonathan Frakes. And I just wanted to tell you about the next episode of Allegedly, which is going to be coming out in 2 weeks. The episode is called Love Gone Wrong in the Philippines. It's about a man who went to the Philippines in search of new love, thought he had found it in this very dramatic way, and it went so bad. It went so wrong in so many ways. It cost him pretty much everything. Cost him money, cost him time, cost him prison, and ultimately even almost cost him his life. So it's really a pretty incredible story, and the gentleman who lived it is going to tell it to you, and he's also going to be played by Australian actor Charlie Clausen. So we're very excited to bring you that episode in 2 weeks. Keep an eye out for it on the Allegedly feed. Thanks for listening.